What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 8 of Big Hoof Energy. I'm your host, Ryan, and as usual, I'm joined by my co-hosts, Jackson and Kaylie. Kaylie, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing well. Jackson, how are you?
Doing great, guys. How are you?
I normally start off with how are both of you guys doing, so I didn't want to have everybody talking over each other, so I thought I'd go one at a time.
Point. Good call, host.
Want to be a little fair there. So, we got the Saturday late pick 5 at Aqueduct this week. Obviously they canceled today because of strong winds, and that seems to be kind of a theme across the country as Oaklawn is canceled. Obviously, hope everybody is okay up at Santa Anita in that area as fires are going crazy up there. They canceled tomorrow, and we'll see what happens with the weekend. You got Turfway that's not running. It's few and far between with racetracks that are going on, but Aqueduct has a really competitive late pick 5 card. So I'm excited that they'll be running on Saturday, and I'm excited to get into that. What were you guys' thoughts on the sequence? Jackson, I'll start with you first.
I thought it was interesting. I thought we were talking about it a little bit before we got on here, and I like my top picks a lot. I think they're pretty good, but as far as like a pick 4, pick 5 type of sequence, I thought it was really tough. So not sure how involved I'm going to get on the horizontals, but definitely want to get involved vertically.
Absolutely. You have quite the interesting pick 5 ticket that we'll get to a little later on at a price that you don't normally see when making a ticket. But Kaylie, what were your thoughts on the sequence?
Yeah, I completely agree. Race by race, I thought it was pretty, fun to handicap, but definitely was a little challenge when I went to construct the pick 5 ticket, just because there were so many different ways that you could have gone about it. And there's a lot of first-time starters that I'm pretty excited about too. So I think it's a pretty competitive sequence. I'm excited.
Absolutely, and that's an excellent segue into the first race of this late pick 5 sequence as we are going. I probably should have left the distance up there. We're going 6 furlongs for newly turned 3-year-olds, Maiden Special Weight Company. I'll throw the picks up on the screen right now. I saw the race 5.62, Jackson 6.54, and Kaylie 4.63. So we have the 5 and 6, and definitely the 6 pretty much everywhere. But Kaylie, we'll start with you with the number 4, a horse that I'm sure you're eager to speak about.
Yeah, so this horse was definitely the first one to catch my eye. Seems like a very well-intentioned horse coming in here for Tom Morley. He was a 240 grand horse at purchased at the March OBS sale, dialed in by a curling mare. He has a pretty nice pedigree. And he's a physical specimen as well. The picture of him, he's very correct. Looks like a really, really nice horse. The work was great. I thought his gallop out was super strong. And he also has a lot of pedigree on him as well. The dam, wasn't much of a runner herself. She placed at 2. Has one other full to race that 1 and 2 starts at 2 and 1 second time out as well. And then the second dam is the dam of 11 other fulls, 9 to race, 8 winners. So those are some pretty precocious numbers on the dam side. And this horse's works are very strong as well. He's been working up to this for a while at Belmont. He has some early gate works from the summer that are really strong. November 25th, his work was really strong, worked 16th out of 111 horses, worked in 48 and 2. And then from the gate on December 20th, he worked 2nd out of 170 horses. So I think this is a very well-intentioned horse coming in here. And I also think it's not quite often that you see a first-time starter for Morley being the morning line favorite when there's also the presence of a horse like T-Craft in here as well. So I really thought that was interesting. So I put him on top. I'm excited to see him run.
It absolutely is interesting to see a Tom Morley first-time starter. It definitely kind of being the morning line favorite. You bring up a great point with that. Jackson, you had this horse in 3rd. What did you like about this one?
Yeah, I have him 3rd. Just all the things Kaylie touched upon, the price point and the workouts from the OBS sale and everything. And the fact that he was 2-1 on the morning line kind of opened my eyes. I wasn't really expecting that. David Argona does his homework. He knows what this horse should be. So obviously this horse can run a little bit. And it's not the toughest maiden field in the world. So he seems like he found a pretty good spot to make his debut. I always struggle with these New York first-time starters because there's not really a way to watch the workouts. So it's difficult for me to fully trust how fast that 47 gate work really was. But again, that seems like the intention. It seems like he's well-intended in this spot.
Absolutely. Jackson, we're going to stick with you, and we're going to go right to the outside with the number 5 Senior Poncho horse that you picked in 2nd.
Yeah, I thought it was a little curious. None of us have the the 3 horse T Craft in the top 2 anywhere. I think we're all against that favorite. This is the other horse that's ran before and has run pretty well, and so this is one I kind of defaulted to. Ran pretty good over the summer at Saratoga a couple times. Good third against Jonathan's Way. Obviously, we saw what he's come back to do. He's run pretty well since then. Stakes winner. And then the turf try just kind of throw it out. And I thought last time he ran fine. I was going a mile. I did not like the ride at all. I ride Ortiz is obviously one of the best in the country. If he's in the top 2, you guys can argue all you want who the best one is, but he's in the top 2. But he didn't break that great from the inside. Then he kind of sent him out of there, got the lead, and then after he hard sent him, he kind of just took him back and let the other horses go by. And then he got shoveled all the way back to 5th, and then the horses got the jump. And he did come with his run on the outside late and just looked like he got a little tired. So I think the cutback from a mile at 6 furlongs is going to be up his alley. And he was cleaned out of there from Fletcher to Toscano, giving him some time since then. Blinker's going on. Just seems like he's a horse that should move forward in this spot, and I like where he's drawn.
Absolutely. I also like the cut back from the mile down to 6. Practical Joke, definitely better sprinting. And I know it's a 1-turn mile configuration, but still, I think that cutback's going to help. And Blinker's on for the effort should have him sharp. Kaylee, you and I both picked this horse in second. What did you like about this runner?
So sorry, I made a mistake. It's supposed to have
no
the
worries.
number 5. The number 5 is second.
No worries. I'll change that right now, and
Senior
then we'll
Poncho.
actually. There we go. Yeah. So
Thank
again,
you.
Practical Joke turning back, but Senior Poncho, why don't you take it away with the horse that you have in second? Let me throw the picks back up.
Yeah, so this horse has a really nice pedigree as well. It's Liam's Map out of a Tappet mare. The dam's first and only other foal, who's a full sibling. They both costed 200 grand as yearlings, and that one won on debut. So that's the only other foal to race is a full sibling, won on debut. And then went on to place in a listed stakes at Monmouth next time out. And then ran his career best buyer of an 85, sprinting on the dirt, winning an allowance after that. So then after that, the mare didn't have a foal, and then had this Liam's Map. And now the mare has a 2024 gun runner and is in foal to Curlin for 2025. So that's a huge step up in class to go to Liam's Map twice and then step up and send the horse to Curlin and gun runner. So I thought that was pretty interesting as well. They must really like what they see from these foals. And then the third dam is a half to Rags to Riches. And then I know Chad Summers' first time out numbers aren't that great, but he seems to have a few nice horses on the Derby Trail this year. And then the works for this horse look pretty great as well. The gate work two back on December 27th looks really strong. So yeah, I really like this horse based off the pedigree and the fact that the only other sibling is a full sibling that won on debut as well. So
absolutely, yeah, I loved all the points that you touched on there, and that's what ultimately led to me picking this one on top as well. I love the breeding. Obviously, we spoke a little earlier in the day about this breeding, so I was waiting for you to bring that up with the dam now in full to in full to Curlin, and then having had one by Gunrunner this year. Obviously, that's a huge step up, as you mentioned. And I just like this barn with first-time starters a little more. I love Gold Square LLC first time out. They normally do pretty well and have some nice runners out of their barn. So I picked Senior Poncho on top. Jackson, do you like anything? You had this one in second.
Yeah, I don't know. I needed a horse in second. I'm against the favorite in here, and I really like the 6. So the 5 was a bit better for price for a horse underneath. I'm going to watch some more with these ones because I just don't really know what to do with these first-time starters. You guys made a lot of good points, but just we have that benefit with this being the first leg of the sequence that we can watch the board. So that's going to kind of be my determining factor.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll go down to the number 3 T-Craft, but before we get there, I did leave the number 4 out of my top 3. And the reason, I mean, if the board comes up and the 4 is, 2 to 5 or taking some ridiculous kind of they knew money, I'm going to go ahead and toss all of the picks on the screen and just go ahead and use the 4 because that New York money is typically right. But up until I can see the board, I'm going to go ahead and pick against with beliefs that I have there. But a horse that Jackson, you and I are against, and Kaylee, you have in third, so you're definitely slightly against this runner too, but that's the number 3 T-Craft.
yeah, I wish I could completely toss him, but I mean, the thing that stuck out to me is he gets Lasix for the first time today. And he looks like or seems like a horse where Lasix could really help him move up. I mean, if you think about it, last time out, he ran the worst race he ever had run. He just kind of stopped running. Now coming back off of a short kind of a short layoff, getting Lasix for the first time might really be what this horse needs. And you have to credit the fact that he's been facing some really, really tough fields. And you can pretty much make an excuse for all of his starts, in my opinion. So that's why I put him third. I think, he could very well even win, but I just really like the first time starters better. So
yeah, that's very fair. We've seen this runner run a few times. Obviously, I think the most notable would be that second time start, losing to Chance McPatrick by just a length. And obviously, we've seen what he has come back to do. And then that last start lost to Guns Loaded, who's a really good horse that just came back to repeat. Finished a distance behind Patch Adams, who won next up. So he's certainly faced some really top company in his, 5 career starts to this point. But I think. Sorry, go ahead.
He's working pretty fast for a Mott horse as well. So that was something else that stuck out to me.
Definitely. He could be one of those horses that I think I've mentioned this, or we've talked about this in the previous show, where Bill Mott has really ramped it up with his 2-year-olds. This might just be one of those that needed some time to kind of mature and grow into himself. So maybe that's the case, but unless the money says otherwise, he's going to have to prove me wrong in this spot. We'll go to the last.
Ryan,
go ahead.
Just with this horse, I remember Jonathan Kitchen was doing a podcast for the money after his second start, and I guess he's friendly with either Bill Mott or the connection, so I'm not really sure. But he had told me after that, or had said after the second race, that he was actually entered in a claiming race after that debut. So they were kind of ready to give up on him. He didn't get into that race, so it said, okay, we'll just throw him in that main special weight, and then he ended up running really well, and that hasn't really replicated that. So it just feels to me like they kind of kept running him in those tough races, hoping to get back to that good form, but it just seems like a one-off to me. It hasn't really panned out. So I'd be against him in this spot, even though he might be the best speed.
Yeah, interesting for sure. That's a great note on you. Thank you for bringing that up. Last one we'll talk about is the inside runner due to the coupled entry. That's the number 2 Organite. I don't know. I just wanted to go with another first-time starter in here. I didn't have any super strong opinions outside of the 5 and the 6, and then just trying to beat the 4. Who looks like a good first-time starter. But I like that Kendrick takes the mount for Dave Donk, who's kind of one of those low-key trainers who will pop at a good price every now and again. He has a decent ROI with his first-time starters. I know it's only 5%, but still 287. So, if he pops, it's going to be at a price, and this one has a morning line of 8-1. So I figured I'll throw him in underneath Liam's map out of Freudmare on the bottom. So nothing too crazy in terms of my opinion on that one. Just a horse I wanted to throw in because I think this is a deep race where any of the firsters really have a good shot. And some of those horses with experience, maybe we've seen kind of the best of what they can do. But that is race number 5. I saw the race 5-6-2. Jackson saw the race 6-5-4, and Kaylie saw the race 4-5-3. We'll move on now to race number 6. Race number 6, we're going a mile and an eighth for starter allowance company. 4-year-olds and upward. Picks are on the screen. I saw the race 1-4-5. Jackson saw the race 4-1-7, and Kaylie saw the race 1-6-7. We're going to start with you, Kaylie, with the morning line favorite on the rail, the number 1 Frizzante.
Yeah, well, there isn't much pace to be expected in this race. I kind of saw the 1 as the speed of the race. Besides maybe the number 7, Traffic Master. This horse obviously looks like the horse to beat here. The last race was a really big improvement, going a mile and an eighth. Was gaining with every stride in the late stages and literally just missed by a nose. Maybe, the 1 and the 7 get into a bit of a pace stool is kind of what I'm predicting, because I don't really see anyone else maybe who will go with them. But I really like this horse given that last race at this distance. That was a big improvement. So I put this horse on top.
Absolutely. I saw the same thing. Claimed off of Michelle Nevin by Linda Rice. First time starting for that barn in protected company, going the 2 turns at a mile and an eighth today's distance. Ran a pretty much a career best race. Career best race in that effort, and I think is definitely going to be a threat right back. I don't think this is the toughest field, so even if Frizzante has a slight bounce off that effort going down to, maybe an 84 and 85, that's still going to make this one really tough in here. And you mentioned the lack of speed, which I think is going to be this one's advantage as well. That's the number 1. Jackson, you picked this one in second, so you're trying to beat him, but you definitely still have some respect for this runner.
I wanted to throw him out completely. I really did, but I just, looking through this field, I had a tough time coming up with alternatives. It's tough to know what to do with that last race because it was so clearly a career best effort. I mean, he jumped up by 10 points. And it wasn't like, he's stretching out the first time. He's gone 2 turns plenty of times before that. And then it looks like it's just a Linda improvement. She's really good at this is what she does. She claims and they move up. But I still wanted to see it one more time because it was just such a massive improvement for a horse at this level.
Absolutely. Jackson, to stick with you, we'll go to the number 4, a horse I picked in second. Thought I was being a little creative. You picked this one on top. That's number 4, Strapped.
Yeah, I think this horse I picked on top a couple weeks ago when we talked about that race. That was a tough allowance race. I thought that was a really good field he ran against that day, and he just got too far back, kind of came with a late run, had a tiny bit of trouble on turn, nothing too crazy, but no real excuse that day. But I do think he's going to be a lot closer. You guys talked about the lack of speed in this race. I think that might actually benefit a horse like him because this might be a race where they just kind of bunch up and they just turn into like a sprint for home that lasts half a mile or so. So if that's the case, I can see him being the best of those deep closers, having the best kick, and then just grinding them down in the stretch because he's run quite well going the 2 turns when he has done it before.
He has. You go to that effort 5 back, and that's definitely an effort that puts him very close, losing to Game Warden and Yo Daddy at Saratoga, both of who came out to win their next start. So, and he was clear of the rest of that field. You see, he was third by 8 lengths there.
And so, Service to Air, the race before that is a pretty good horse, and Mama's Gold is. The race before that is top quality horse all of a sudden too. So those are some good fields he's facing.
Absolutely. Just a quick pull up the chat. Matt Miller has said, hi, Noah. And Noah has said, hello, Matt, but neither of them have said hello to us, but that's all right. Thanks guys for joining. Obviously, Noah also put in Potts Runner intrigues me. Big 1-5 exacta. Well, that's good that he thinks that way. So I also picked the number 5 in third here. I like this Wayne Potts Runner. I thought the effort 2 back going 2 turns was really nice. I'm going to go ahead and draw a line through that last effort in the slop because I just don't think this horse liked it. That was the day after that really strong rail bias day that I'm sure we'll talk about a little later in the card. That was just bizarre. Thank you, Matt DeSantis, for tuning in. Yeah, wishing all the California folks safe everything. But anyway, that effort 2 back that this one was claimed off of, I thought was a really strong effort. Fits well here, going the 2 turns, and should give a strong account of herself because I think now back on a fast main track. Again, you mentioned it, Jackson. They might be clumping up top of the stretch, and it's just going to kind of be a kick for home situation. And this one at least has shown some strong ability to pass other horses. We will go Kaylie to you, right to the outside, number 6, Waitlist.
Yeah, so I put another Linda Rice runner second, who I thought that, I think should run well, stretching out today. I know I kind of am contradicting myself, saying that, I picked the 1 because he was really the only speed that I saw of the race, but and the 6 likes to come from behind. But I thought the race 2 back that he ran in Saratoga, I think 2 back, in Saratoga in September. He did flash some early speed there, so maybe this horse can sit a little closer to the field and make a run up if the 2 horses in the front kind of tire out. I think this is a horse that could potentially come from off the pace. And then obviously, I mean, Linda Rice has had success stretching out off the claim seen with the number 1 in here for Zonte. So I thought that this horse was probably well-intentioned in here as well. It's probably likely to take a piece. So
absolutely. Stays in the protected company, which you like to see, gets the stretch around 2 turns, a move that Linda's definitely been successful with. Jackson, we'll go to you. Number 7, Traffic Master, a horse you and Kaylie both have in third.
Yeah, the mass majority of my play is going to be the 1 and 4 in here, or 4, then 1 in that order. The 7 is a speed horse, might be able to get forward. He's really not a speed horse, but in this field, he might be the speed of the speed just based on pace figures. And he's running well going 2 turns. And Jamie Ness, you never really know what to do with when he ships over here to Aqueduct. So wanted to throw him in there as my 3rd horse.
I like it. Kaylie, what did you like about the number 7 Traffic Master?
Yeah, I included him for all the same reasons. Basically, he improved, last time out. It was at the claiming level, but, Jamie Ness has had some success moving horses up from claiming to allowance as well. So, I mean, I think this horse is kind of a wild card here and it's at a price of 5 to 1. So thought that was another reason to include him as well.
Yeah, definitely some good value with either the speed of the speed or some outside speed. If Frazante decides to send to the lead, 7 might be able to just kind of sit right off the hip of the number 1 there. But that's race number 6. I saw the race 145. Jackson saw the race 417. Kaylie saw the race 167. I'll throw the picks up for race number 7. We'll get moving into there. We're going a mile. Optional claim non-winners of 1 other than we're going a mile, as I think I just said. 4-year-olds and upward. Picks are on the screen. I saw the race 5 with the 1A and 7. Jackson saw the 1A, 11 and 5. Kaylie saw 11, 2, 5. We'll go to the far outside, or second from the farthest outside. Fade to gray. Kaylie, we'll start with you, the 11, your top pick in here.
Yeah, so this is a race that's expected to have a pretty fast pace. There's a lot of front runners here. And this is, I think it sets up pretty nicely for this horse. As well as the fact that you're getting 6-1 on a Todd Pletcher horse that fits in here buyers wise as well, and I think is going to have a pretty nice setup. So that's most of the reason why I put this horse on top.
Yeah, 100%. I like the way this one fits in here. I didn't have this one in my top 3, but I was pretty deep in this race when we get to our pick 5 sequence a little bit later. Jackson, what do you want to mention on the number 1 here? Or number 11, sorry.
Yeah, I love that last race. I mean, she was pretty wide the whole way around, made an early-ish move into a pretty hot pace, and then just kind of got a little tired late. And that's usually what I'm looking for when we're talking about cutbacks. Drawn well on the outside. Showed last time she has the ability to pass horses, which is big. The one concern I had, just that's why I didn't put her on top, was she went 2 turns before and she's had this cutback angle, and that was her worst race she's ever ran, was when she did cutback. So that was a bit of a concern for me, but it's not huge. So that's just why I have her in second, not in first. But she's definitely a big contender, I think.
Yeah, definitely a fair point on the 1 1/8 back down to the 1-turn mile. That was her worst race. She kind of seemed a little bit out of it, but I mean, Smoking Hot Kitty was a pretty convincing winner that day. So maybe just wasn't kind of cut up to that group, and this seems like an easier spot. Definitely fits on the buyer scale. But Jackson, we'll stick with you, going right to the outside with the 1A, Save Us Melania, a horse that I think we both wanted to pick for the same reason.
Yeah, well, the big reason is you and I had a big pick 5 going that day, and if she would have gotten the job done, we would have won a lot of money. But that was the day, if you guys recall, that the most ridiculous rail bias I've ever seen in my entire life happen at Aqueduct. And she broke kind of towards from the inside, and then for whatever reason, let's kind of dragged her straight to the outside, and she was 5 wide the entire way around. She had no chance. Go back and watch the replays with that day, the whole card. Anybody that was parked wide just was done. They were just done. Just toss it. It did not happen. It was just so bad. So, and she comes back very quickly. So I have to think that Linda believes that she's fine. No worse for the wear. She'll probably fire a big shot in this race. So I do like that she's drawn the outside again. If you look at her two wins, were both came when she was drawn on the far outside. I like that. It's a good sign for me. And she can pass horses a little bit, but she can also make the front. And the one concern I have is this is an entry. I hate entries. They're the worst. But Linda's other horse is also a speed horse, and Linda's not shy about scratching horses. So if that other horse scratches, I think this will be a much better pick, and you'll get a lot more value out of this horse than you would have otherwise.
Yeah, absolutely. As you were breaking down your choices there, we were watching the replay. Save Us Melania was also the 1A, and you see the 3 is just going to run away with this towards the end, just hanging tight on the rail. That was the place to be, and I mean, the race was pretty much over as soon as they got that split. But I was in the same boat as you. I mean, coming off the 9 buyer, that's quite the angle for us. But I think was just so hard against that bias that day that you gotta take him back here.
Yeah. Well, and again, she's back in 2 weeks. Like she's obviously fine, and it took nothing out of her. Otherwise, she wouldn't be entered.
Noah with a nice jab towards us there. Yeah, she really made us sweat for that one. But I think it was a coupled entry, so we had the 1, so we thought Dylan was going to get home for a bit there, but I digress. So yeah, Save Us Melania. I saw the same thing as you, back off short rest, so clearly nothing went wrong. Just didn't fire. Her race that day was against the track, and if she gets back to any of those other previous races, that puts her right in the mix. We're going to go now to the number 2. Kaylie, a pick you have in second. 5-2 on the morning line is Bell's Beach.
Yeah, so I put this, I saw this as the horse to beat. I put her second because, I was trying to, put a better price on top, but I think this is definitely the horse to beat. She likes to sit kind of mid-pack from what we know with her. her 4 starts, which I think maybe might set this up nice for her. Obviously, very serious connections. And then that buyer speed figure last time out, pretty strong. And then that horse also came about 4 wide down the backstretch, 3 wide around the turn, and got second. Lost by a decent margin, like 9 lengths, but still got second after coming pretty wide. And also went off as the heavy 4-5 favorite that day as well. So took a lot of money in her last start, and I think this should set up nicely for her today or Saturday.
Absolutely. I left this one out just for, I thought that this would be a good spot to try and beat this horse. Lost to Weigh the Risks, who I don't believe was in the Chad Brown barn that day. I think was claimed out of it, I think by Linda Rice, if I'm not mistaken. But I thought that last effort was strong. I'm just going to try and beat this one in this spot. Nothing against what this horse can do, because on her best day, I think she is definitely the best horse, definitely the horse to beat, and you have to respect those connections. But my top pick was the number 5, Pride's Crossing, a horse that's coming off a bit of a layoff, but is still working pretty well. Had their most recent works down at Turfway Park, including a bullet most recently on January 3rd, going the best of 30 entrance, going 5 furlongs in about a minute. So this one looks to be in shape, off the trainer switch from Paulo Lobo, still with OXO Equine. So I'm looking for this one to give a strong showing of herself. Sorry, I want to make sure I had that one right. But yeah, $1.3 million filly. This one is a newly turned 4-year-old, obviously just the second race of this one's career. Showed some ability to kind of rate and pass horses in that debut. Again, the debut was a while ago, but won so nicely out of that just kind of piqued my interest right back here. Not really sure where this horse is going to be placed. I'm hoping kind of in that second flight and can just kind of, wheel around at the top of the stretch, because as Kaylie mentioned when we started going through this race, there is a lot of pace signed on in here. So I'm hoping this one just kind of takes back a little bit and then shows that same ability she showed on debut. So that was the number 5. Jackson, you had this one in third, and Kaylie, you did too. So both of you clearly saw something in this one.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, not only was the debut super impressive, she won in like a literal hand ride. Obviously was a really, really expensive yearling, 1.3 million. Not really sure who she beat in debut, but you can't really hold that against her. I mean, it's her only start and she won in a hand ride. Also gets Dylan Davis aboard, and this seems to be one that's shipping in here pretty intentionally as well. Seems to be training well at Turfway. So yeah, this one really piqued my interest. I mean, I want to see kind of what the prices are compose time, because if this one floats up even just a little bit, I'll probably end up betting her to win, depending on how she looks. But yeah.
Yeah, you guys both mentioned the works, and I actually was able to watch her last work at Turfway, and she was working out with a horse called Clear the Air, who was last seen winning a $62,000 allowance race at Saratoga. So pretty solid horse she was competing with, and she blew the doors off of him. She looked so much better than he did. So I think she's coming in with a top effort. That was over the Tapeta, so I want to be a little careful about that. But that was the positive. I didn't love her debut. I thought it was a pretty bad field, and she had a really soft trip, but she did it the right way. So I don't want to fault her too much. And there's obviously, she's supposed to have some ability. She costs $1.3 million. So mixed signals, going to leave it to the price to see what I end up doing with her.
Yeah, absolutely. You brought up a good point, and Kaylie, you mentioned it as well. Like, not really sure what she beat on debut, but she did it the right way. It was a pretty soft trip, pretty easy for her, but she did it very professionally. Strong hand ride. Clearly had some more in the tank. So I'll take this one on kind of the potential angle versus for me, like the number 2 and some others in here who I'm gonna just try and beat. Matt, I'll throw a comment by Matt Miller up. Kaylie, we're different in our approach. We both seem to really like this 5. I'd only bet her if she was less than 7-2. To me, the market signal is so valuable. 4-1 or higher would spook me. That's a fair point, but I'm kind of in. It would depend on how I want to play it for me.
Yeah, I mean, if the horse is at like 5 or 6-1, I probably would view that as a red flag too. But I mean, maybe like 4-1 or stays around the same price as she is in the morning line, I'd take. I mean, you have the Chad Brown horse in here that should probably take a lot of money too. So
Definitely. And something tells me this horse isn't going to float up off that last bullet work. I think 7-2 is probably a pretty accurate morning line, as we're very used to looking at David Aragona's morning lines. Those are always just spot on. Last one we'll talk about here is the number 7 Brown Sugar Babe. This one has run a lot. We're 21 times, but it's found the winner's circle 6 of those times. So a horse that definitely knows how to win, a horse that has some tactical ability, definitely prefers to be forward, but at the very least has passed some horses when needed to. So this one's on the cutback from 1 1/8 back to a mile. Last time that angle was in play was 3 back into the race 2 back. Yes, it was against State Bred, but that cutback seemed to work, and she won by open lengths that day. So I'm hoping for a similar result here from the number 7. Again, Jamie Ness with another shipper in here. Jackson was talking about one in the last, so I got Jamie Ness in here. So yeah, on the cutback, I'm hoping she's sharp, and I'm hoping she fires a big shot. So that's the number 7 Brown Sugar Babe for me. That's race number 7. I saw the race 5 with the 1A with number 7. Jackson saw 1A 11 with 5, and Kaylie 11 2 5. I will throw up race number 8 here, our featured event. It is a state bred allowance race. We're going 6 furlongs. If it wants to load, there we go. 6 furlongs allowance, non-winners of 1 other than 4-year-olds and upward. Picks are on the screen. I saw the race 8-4-3. Jackson saw the race 8-10-12. And Kaylie saw the race 8-5-11. Guess we got to start with number 8. Jackson, that was a pretty large sigh that we just heard out of you. And I think I know exactly why, but you can go ahead and lead us off on this one.
Yeah, well, the last few times we all pick the same horse. I don't think it's worked out too well. But this is where we turned around. It's where we turn around. It's a new year, new us. So here we go. I had a tough time with this race. I think you and I were talking about it, Ryan, with the Finger Lakes form, and it's just it, for whatever reason, has not transferred over at all to Aqueduct, and that's kind of been the case with a lot of these horses where they'll run at Finger Lakes with these big, solid numbers that look really good, and then they come over to Aqueduct and they just don't replicate it for whatever reason. So it made this race really difficult because a lot of them are coming from Finger Lakes. There's a lot of speed in here, and I just think this horse might be the one that can kind of pick up the pieces late. Doesn't need to come from way out of it, and hasn't really been getting great setups. Kind of had some slow pace to the chase. Hasn't been running great, but I thought the last one was pretty good. She actually broke pretty well, was kind of close to the pace, and then kind of drifted back. Gray Wing was also in that race. He's your morning line favorite, and he kind of made an early move to get into a much better spot on the rail, while Kid Billy went pretty wide, and then they kind of battled to the wire. But Gray Wing's, run several times. We kind of know what he is. He's not really on the improve or anything. And Kid Billy, this is just his 6th start. It's going to be his 2nd start off of a long layoff. So I want to bet on the upside of Kid Billy at a much better price.
Absolutely. Kaylie, what did you like about your top pick, number 8?
Yeah, I completely agree with everything Jackson said. Seems like maybe he can turn the tables on Gray Wing here, get a bit of a better trip. Broke well, last time out. So maybe if this horse can set a nice tracking trip, it could work out. But I really like, the price is 6-1 on a Belmont horse that has a lot of potential and fits in buyer figure wise as well. So, yeah.
Nice. Yeah, I don't think you're going to fade a Belmont around 6-1 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, no, that was actually. Yeah. I think though the last time we all picked the same horse, it was a Belmont horse. So I really hope that.
It may have been. Spoiler alert, this race and the finale, we all have the same top pick. So hopefully, new year, new us, and we are right again. Any worry that he's only ever been at Aqueduct, no Belmont, no Saratoga. Bont seems like the type of guy that brings his best to those premier meets. That's a very fair point that he brought up. Jackson, Kaylie, do you have anything you want to respond to Noah?
I think this horse was only running in like the winter, right? Like with those layoffs and stuff, that maybe that was just the timing of, how that is a fair point though. So
it feels like this horse has problems because it's not like he was running Aqueduct all the way until the spring meet and then just skipped Saratoga. Like he was done in January and December both times. So it just feels like a horse that had some issues. Hopefully he's overcome it.
Yeah.
I don't love this race. You're going to see my pick 5 ticket and you'll know pretty quickly how I feel about it. So I don't love this pick.
Absolutely. I didn't have any strong convictions in here. My biggest one was just I'm hoping he gets just maybe a little bit of a better trip. Maybe gets a little more pace to chase. Second off the layoff, he fired a pretty good 72 buyer, so he's clearly got some run still left in him. Yo Banana Boy wired the field pretty easily last time out. So I'm hoping that's not the case here, and this one just has enough to get home. And it's nice to see that this one has stayed healthy for a second start in the form cycle here. Kaylie, we'll go back to you to the number 5. That is the morning line favorite, number 5, Gray Wing.
Yeah, so he ran his best buyer figure last time out. This distance over the Aqueduct, or I don't think he's won at Aqueduct, but seems like he's very close every time. And then he was dropped into a claimer last time out, ran a pretty decent race, and then now jumps back up in class. So I thought that was a good sign as well. And he also gets Dylan Davis aboard too. So I mean, those are a few interesting points. And I think it speaks to the confidence to put him back up in class after that last effort, which I thought was pretty good as well. So yeah, I think he fits in here well.
Yeah, he definitely does. A deserving morning line favorite. Absolutely. One that I think I'm just going to try and beat, but the fact that Dylan Davis decides to take the mount flying up from Gulfstream Parkway, a nice 3-win Thursday today. Yeah, I mean, certainly one to be respected. Horse that I picked in second was the number 4, Boss 302, for trainer Rick Dutrow, who's obviously had a great meet. This one's coming off a pretty lengthy layoff. So clearly, I guess something went wrong losing by 10 lengths there, or just sorry, I saw the chat, and Noah just we're at 10 so far, apparently. So
it's a really fun drinking game if you haven't started playing it yet.
Yes, if you haven't started playing a drinking game every time I say absolutely, then start now, and I guarantee you'll be drunk by the end of this video. So,
me too.
Boss 302. Yeah, I'm going to take this one off the layoff. Gomez aboard, who's one of his kind of regular riders at this point during the winter meet. I mean, Dutrow's horses have just been firing left, right, and center. So I don't want to leave this one off my ticket. In a race where I was able to go skinny in some other legs, I wanted to certainly include this one here, talking about the number 4, Boss 302. Jackson, we're going to swing back out to you, and we're going to swing out to the number 10, Collected Special at 20-1. Take it away.
Yeah, Crazy Bomber. Just hoping he gets back to that good form he showed earlier this year when he got pretty good at one point right here at Aqueduct. Was running pretty well. Got some numbers that would fit really nicely with the favorites in this spot. I do think it's interesting that he was claimed 2 back for Rudy, came back for Rudy protected, ran awful. It was a complete no-show, and he's still coming back protected because they easily could have thrown him back in the claiming ranks, found a much softer spot for him, and he probably would have been competitive there. But clearly, that's not the case here. They must think that he can run a little bit still. And I like that he's drawn towards the outside, has some speed. Rudy also has a 12, who is another speed horse, but I can't imagine that they're both going to send, so I would think one or the other is going to go. So maybe the 10 is the one that's more is just faster, and they let the 10 go, and he gets a nice soft trip on the outside at a giant price, and he can get back to that good form he showed last spring.
Yeah, second time blinkers for Rudy coming in here. You mentioned a great thing that they keep him in the protected company off that last effort off a 48 buyer. They elect to just protect him one more time, try it again. Second off the claim, there's a chance, maybe he takes another step up and surprises some people. He was under 5-1 in that last effort versus the same allowance company, and now you get 20-1 on that horse. If he just fired a bad couple races there, and now he's just sitting on a good effort, third off the layoff from the summer out of the Rob Atras barn, then hey, maybe this one's got a real shot to upset the apple cart. We'll stick with you real quick, Jackson, just so you can talk about the other Rudy Rodriguez horse that you're picking in here, heavyweight champs.
Yeah, and just one last thing. Silvera is probably the go-to for Rudy right now, and he does end up on that 10, whereas K. Davis is on the 12. So I thought that was a little interesting because this 12 has, that one giant number that leaps off the page with strong 82. Then kind of ran into some better horses with some mixed results, but has had plenty of time since then. First off the bench, drawn well on the outside. Maybe he can just get comfortable out there and come with a little bit of a run late. I hate this race. I went all in this race, so I don't feel that great about it. So hoping for a price.
There we go. We're not going to tease his pick 5 ticket anymore. You know what the leg is. It's an all race. Kaylie, we're going to go and split these two Jackson long shots so you can talk about the number 11 Trawlad.
Yeah, this horse was one I just thought was pretty interesting. It's a bit of a wild card. Obviously, he's coming over from Finger Lakes, but he has run at Aqueduct before, just not that well. I'm just hoping that he runs better at Aqueduct this time around. I mean, last time out, the couple of wins that he has, he's won in different ways. He's gone, gate to wire, and he's also made a big rally from fifth to win as well. So I think he's a versatile type of horse that, in a race where it's a bit all over the place, it's not unlikely that he can take a piece here. And he is 8-1, so pretty good price. And Sophia Vivas has been riding really well and moves horses up, I think. And I think she's a tough rider. So I also like that she's on. And then a lot of the horses that he ran against in that win improve next time out as well. And he's pretty lightly raced in 2024, just 2 starts. And now he comes into this off of another long layoff, but he was able to win off a long layoff before. So I thought he was a horse that probably going to use underneath at a good price.
Yeah, absolutely. I like this one. I like this one underneath. As I just shook my head, catching myself saying absolutely again. So that is what it is. Everybody take a drink. This one has some really strong buyers to get back to though. And I think coming in from Finger Lakes is something, Jackson, you and I were just speaking about, but this one has 12 in the money finishes, second or first from 16 starts. So definitely a hard trying horse. If this one fires, his A effort, I like that you wanted to use this one underneath. I think that's definitely a good place that you'll be able to find this horse, one of those kind of underneath key type horses, knowing you're going to get that kind of mid 70 speed figure effort in a race that, I mean, you could go any number of directions. We all went with the same on top, but we're all pretty different underneath. Actually, we are all different underneath. We went 6 different horses, second and third for between the 3 of us. And Jackson decided to go all on the pick 5. So, quite literally a race that you could go any number of directions. Last one we'll talk about is the number 3 on the hill. Again, just a runner I think is going to have a decent post position draw. Wired the field last time out at Finger Lakes. I don't know if that's what this horse wants to do. It was just better than the rest of them in that field. So I think just talent kind of took this one to the lead. I think this one has the ability to sit off the pace and then to close a little bit. I don't want him too far out of it, but just a horse I thought made sense at a nice middle price that I think could get home in a race that, I mean, I don't know what this race is going to look like when they turn at the quarter pole. It could go any number of ways. There could be lone speed. There could be 7 across with a couple waiting in behind. It could go any number of ways, and I think our picks are evident of that. So I saw the race 8-4-3. Jackson saw the race 8-10-12. Kaylie saw the race 8-5-11. We'll move on now to the finale, race number 9, where again we have a universal top choice. I saw the race 10-8-5. Jackson saw the race 10-5-8, and Kaylie saw the race 10-6-8. So not only do we have the same top choice, we all use the 8 somewhere underneath. Jackson, you and I used the 5. Kaylie used the 6. Kaylie, we're going to start with you with the number 10, your morning line favorite at 2-1, Vikinda.
Yeah, he's clearly the horse to beat here. Off of 3 straight good efforts. The day you can make, an excuse for basically all 3 of those starts, but I mean, he ran well, so he didn't really lose much in defeat, but his debut was over the slop, and then he ran on the turf, and then he handled the track really well last time out on December 8th, and he has the speed necessary to win here as well. He's probably going to be the speed of the race. Probably going to take them gate to wire is what I'm hoping. He draws nicely. And George Weaver also adds Lasix this time around. He has a lot of success with that. First time Lasix on the dirt at Naira over the last 2 years, 5 for 20. So he's had a lot of success with that move. And 3 of the 4 siblings to race are winners. So the odds are that this one's bound to graduate. And I think Saturday is probably going to be that day because, he's put together 3 straight good efforts. So I think he's very much the horse to beat here. And Manny Franco stays aboard. And the Vacomas have been just deadly, sprinting on the dirt, just dirt sprints, winning 21% of them. The Vacomas, the all-sire average is 13%. And just so far this year, Vacoma's already 4 for 13 as of this morning. So, I mean, I think those are pretty good numbers. this horse looks pretty tough to beat here.
Yeah, I 100% agree with what you said. And I mean, consensus top pick here. Sand Devil came back out to win a next level allowance or optional claimer with a 90 buyer. Jackson, anything to add here on the number 10, your clear top choice?
Nope. If he runs back to the last race, unless the 8 horses is a freak, this horse should win. Drawn outside the other speed, ran to a monster last time, hooked a good one in the Pletcher and put that one away. Just the 10 should be very, very tough.
Yeah, it's Vikinda's race to lose, no doubt. But let's go now to number 8, Late Night Boss. Jackson, why don't you lead us away? A horse that we all have underneath here somewhere, a first-time starter that I guess is just the most intriguing second choice.
Yeah, and again, the 10 beat several of these last time very clearly, and then a lot of those horses have kind of been running against each other too. So just by default, he looks so much faster than everyone that's ran. So I kind of just fell on this horse, low on the morning line. Costs a lot of money at the sales, so probably can run a little bit. Workouts are pretty decent. Again, this is kind of one where you want to watch the board. If this horse opens at 3-1 and looks like there's a clear standout on the 10 horse, that would kind of open my eyes a little bit. But this would probably be an underneath type for me. I would be ice cold to the 10 on every kind of horizontal.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. Kaylie, you picked this horse in third. I said it again, so I'll drink. But anything else you wanted to add on that one?
Nothing much. This is the Dam's first Folder race. The Dam is pretty decent. She broke her maiden with an 84 buyer. There's lots of works for this horse, some pretty fast ones. I thought the work on November 24th is pretty good. 2 maintenance works in between that, and then the most recent work looks really good as well. So he seems to be coming in here pretty cranked up, and Sire's pretty decent first time out, decent in dirt sprints as well. And Jeremiah Englehart is also pretty good with first time starters as well. So I thought this one was a pretty logical horse to use underneath.
Yeah, seems like we're all on the same page with the horses we wanted to use in second or third with Late Night Boss there. Kaylie, I'll go to you or stick with you. Nope, sorry. I'm sticking with you, Kaylie. To the number 6, Prince Valiant.
Yeah, so this horse for Todd Pletcher, he's 4-1 on the morning line, gets Dylan Davis up. And I put this horse second because I know that, on debut against Vikinda, he looked to not be like much of a match for the horse, but he actually was a part of, a pace duel basically the whole way with Vikinda. They set pretty fast fractions, and then he kind of just fell back on the rail and tired out a little bit. I'm not saying that I'm right about this or this is crucial, but it's just kind of interesting to note how I know the track was playing fairly that day on December 8th. But I did see, I was reading Andy has like track trends on Naira, if you're ever curious on how like the track was playing on a certain day. And 3 days later, he said that, it wasn't really a dead rail, but the rail just wasn't really the best place to be. Most running was done off the rail. Just a couple of days after that, and there wasn't any weather in between either. So I do wonder if, maybe the rail was just a tricky spot for that horse or if he just tired out, but I didn't think it was bad enough effort. I thought it was a good enough effort to put him second here. Obviously I'm singling in this race, but I do think this horse is probably likely to take a piece, and there's no drop in class here either, which is a good sign, and has the early speed as well. He also bumped out of the gate on debut, so hopefully maybe he'll get a better setup today.
Yeah, definitely. Spoiler alert, Jackson and I also singled this the number 10 in our pick 5. So universal singles all around for that race or for this one. So I definitely like your pick on Prince Valiant. I think tiring on debut when you're dueling with a horse like Vikinda, who's seems far and away the one to beat in here. I mean, that's certainly logical to pick this horse right back. Still finished third, yes, by a bit of a distance, but was 5-1, so took some money into Sand Devil and Vikinda that day. So certainly a runner that has some ability, just didn't get the best of draws, didn't get the best of rides on debut. Certainly could bounce back with a better effort in here. Jackson, you and I went to the number 5 for the horse that we had in, I believe, second. Second for you, third for me. So why don't you take it away?
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't love the last race. It wasn't great, but I thought the races 2 and 3 back were pretty good, especially the one on the second start. He had a bad break against was a pretty decent field that day, and he ran pretty well from a tough inside post. Ran fourth, got a good strong buyer. Nothing wrong with it. Then 2 back, he showed a lot more speed than he has in any other race, and he was just in between rivals the entire time. That was one of those races where there was 4 across the track the entire way around, and he was sandwiched between them. I think it eventually went down to 3, but he was still the one in the middle and just never got a breather at any step and still ran pretty well. So maybe that one just took a lot out of him because he didn't do any kind of running last time. He's got a lot of lengths to make up on Vikinda, but this is probably a horse I would be keying underneath, I think, for me.
Yeah, if there's some sort of pace meltdown in here, this one at least can pick up some of the pieces. Could be there a little bit late. This is definitely like a key in third and fourth kind of horse for me. I like the 8 underneath. I like Kaylie's points on the number 6, but I mean the number 10 is the horse to beat. That's race number 9. So I saw the race 10-8-5. Jackson saw the race 10-5-8, and Kaylie saw the race 10-6-8. We'll throw our pick 5 tickets up. We got a bit of variation going on here. Kaylie, I know we normally start with you, but Jackson's ticket is just catching my eye. It's a $26 pick 5 ticket, which you don't typically see. But Jackson, why don't you take it away with and walk us through?
Yeah, well, like I said at the top of the show, it's just one of those sequences where I feel pretty good about my top picks, and then the rest of my second and third choices come whatever. So it's not really a sequence I want to spend a ton of money on. So if I'm gonna hit it, it's gonna be because my top picks are all right, and I just happen to hit all of them. So right out of the gate, it's gonna start off with the 6-horse Social Hour. I just think he's the best. I think he's better than T-Craft. I think he's the best for the ones that have run thus far. So hoping that outside draw, cut back in the speed, get him home in that spot. And if he wins, it's gonna be a good start because he's a bit of a price. And then that second leg, gonna try to lock it up with the Linda horse, who I don't fully trust, but she's very logical in that spot. Gonna be 8-5. It's not loading, so I can't pull up the name, but that's the one.
Frisante.
Say it again.
Frisante.
Thank you, Frisante. And then the 4 is my top pick and Strapped. And I think the 4 is probably got the best kick. Comes out of the much better race, I think. So hopefully he grinds it away because he's a bit of a price too. And then the third leg we have Save Us Melania. Sorry, it's not, my thing is not loading.
It is Save Us Melania, yeah.
Save Us Melania. I'm drawing the outside. I think getting back the outside is going to be the key for Toss the last race. We talked about the outside flow. And then 2 and 3 back, I don't think I mentioned this, but both had rail draws both those times and just didn't really run that great. But the 4 and 5 back, she was drawn outside, ran really well. And then the cutback horse, Fade to Gray, going to get that one home, hopefully. Again, I mentioned also, if the other Linda horse scratches, that significantly reduces the amount of speed in that race. And those 2 should both be forwardly placed. So hopefully it can lock that race up. I hate the 8th race. Going to go all, just pray for bombers. And then just get alive to that Den horse, Vikinda. Vikinda looks like he is going to take some beating in that race. So just hoping to get alive that one.
Absolutely. That's Jackson's ticket, $26. Kaylie, you and I both have a ticket in the $70 range. Why don't you walk us through yours?
Yeah, so in the first leg, I used the 3 horses that I talked about. I think the horse I'm most excited to see on Saturday is the Morley horse in the first leg. But I also included the couple entry as well. Particularly, I like the 1 out of the 2 of them that, has a really good pedigree by Gervin, who's pretty good first time out, and they're working well. Both of the entries are working well as well. So they're 8-1, I think, on the morning line. So I included those 2 in the first leg, and then second leg I used the 3 horses I talked about, and then I also think I included the number 3 as well, who I thought was interesting. He's been improving, broke his maiden last time out with the 75 buyer, and flashed some early speed doing so, which may be key in that type of race that we don't see much pace. So I included that one on my ticket. And then in the 7th race, I used the 3 horses I talked about. 8th race, I used the same 3 I talked about. And then I also thought the Dutro was pretty interesting too, but I mean, I'm hopefully just waiting to see a start from that one. And then in the last leg, yeah, I singled the 10 as well. So
that is Kaylie's ticket, $72 if you play it as is or make any adjustments. Jackson's is 26, then mine is 70. Yeah, I'm going 5 deep to start. I'm going the 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6. I might play the board, but I think I'm just going to spread, just try and beat T-Craft, who I think is going to take a little bit of money. If again, play the board. If the Morley horse is, again, even money or less and is just taking some of that ridiculous they knew type of money, then I'm absolutely probably going to narrow it down a little bit and just probably go 4, 6, depending on how the number 5, the first time starter, looks in there. Worth noting, the 1 is a coupled entry, so that's 2 horses for the price of 1. And then next leg, I'm going to single Frisante for Linda Rice. I think that last effort just wins, and I think that horse definitely took a huge step up trying 2 turns in the Linda Rice barn. Not much speed in there. I think that's going to be one of my 2 singles. Then I'm going 7 deep in the next leg. I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, and 11, spreading to get some coverage in there. Following leg, I'll go 3, 4, 5, and 8. We obviously talked about the 8, the 5, and I forget who else I talked about in there. I believe the 4. Oh, I have the picks right here. I talked about the 8, the 4, and the 3. Yes, the Dutro horse, and then the horse to the inside, and then the number 5 that Kaylie talked about. I forget who the trainer is for that one, but and then ending it out with a single of Vakinda. I think I got skinny in a couple places. I'm spreading everywhere else, and that makes me feel good enough. But it's definitely a difficult sequence. Frisante certainly my least confident of the 2. I think if you can kind of get alive to Vakinda, you're probably in a good spot if you play this pick 5. These are all of our tickets presented by myself, Jackson, and Kaylie. Yeah, exciting sequence. Aqueduct Racing returns tomorrow on Friday. The winds, I guess, have died down. I can't imagine those are very warm winds. Those probably feel just awful walking outside and getting blasted in the face with that. So, but yeah, racing will return tomorrow at Aqueduct. But this is the Saturday late pick 5 sequence for Aqueduct this Saturday. Go ahead, Jackson.
A bit of breaking news. The
go.
Rams-Vikings game got moved from LA to Arizona, so I can't imagine they're going to be running at Santa Anita this weekend.
Yeah,
so it's
if they're
postponing,
if they're postponing an NFL or moving an NFL game, you
playoff
game. Thank you. You definitely cannot be running.
So it's going to be very few tracks running on Saturday, it seems like, because even Turfway is not a guarantee. They already canceled 2 cards, and there's supposed to be more snow on the way. So it could be Aqueduct Gulfstream only, it sounds like. On Saturday.
Yeah. Our local weatherman, Noah Maher, is somewhere in the comments. So he's out in Kentucky. So if he can let us know how the weather's looking, that'd be great. But we'll wait on that, and we'll, surely update you wherever. But any parting words, Kaylie, before we wrap it up?
No, I'm super excited to bet on Saturday. I don't know if I'll play the pick 5, but definitely going to play each individual race. Super excited about Morley and the other firster in there, and as well as the Will Walden horse that's shipping in. Pretty excited to see how that one runs. So
I like it. Jackson?
Catch some winners this weekend.
There we go. I'm hoping you do. I know I will. I know Kaylie will. Noah, maybe. Jackson, I'm sure you will too. All right, everybody. Jackson and I will be back tomorrow for an episode of Get Bucked. We're going to be doing Saturday Turfway late pick 5. Why Turfway, you ask? It's because Oaklawn's not running, so we can't do the cross-country pick 5. Santa Anita likely not running, so we can't do the coast-to-coast pick 5. So Turfway it is. It's always a difficult sequence, always fun. And Noah has said, if Turfway runs, I'll do Snow Angels on the wire. Well, he didn't. Noah promised to do the Nene had a horse won at Santa Anita, and he never did that. I don't think the horse won, but he still should have done it just for the fun.
He said if we got to the winner's circle, he would do it. We got to the winner's circle.
We did get to the winner's circle. Yes, I took you guys on a very purposeful tour so that I could just do my job the best of my abilities. So anyway, we're getting just so far off track. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We will catch you next time.